Yes, welcome to Golden Goal. After a very exciting Champions League draw, the evening of sport continues with a Premier League preview show. Right here, we've got plenty of games to talk about, including the midweek games to preview as well with our panel. Let's get going.
Kicking way to do so. And it's him. Back to Balotelli. It runs for Aguero. They did it!
Hazard still on the ground as Charlie Adam goes for goal here. Oh, and he scored!
And was by Stones.
Andrew Townsend! A field of minutes. And Aaron Ramsey starts and ends an immaculate. Trying to find a way through.
Well, there you go. Welcome to the show. Before we move on to the games, let's get on with the panel. First of all, still probably celebrating after the Liverpool win. Abdi.
I've cooled down a little bit, but yeah, no, still very good feeling. And other things around coming out from the club, that haven't been so great, but still, hopefully bounce into the weekend with the same energy, really. But yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
All good, my friend. All good. Back on the show as well. Nick, how's it going?
Doing really well, Hubert. After Newcastle
Just about
winning through in the League Cup last night, and that's all good. So decent draw at home to Palace in round 3. So hopefully be through to round 4.
Not saying
By the
anything
time
about
we
Chelsea
break with
have.
Walker.
Matt, back on the producer's duty. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And we do have a late joiner with us. Would you like to
Sam.
make yourself known?
Hello.
The master of the predictions.
It seems like less than a day ago since we did the last one, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it feels like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was only Tuesday, so it's very congested time here at Golden Goal TV.
Yes,
that's all we have to do.
It's a busy channel. It's all about content, all about being busy. Right then, let's move on. Starting with the games, and at the end we will sort out predictions as well. So let's first of all do this game at 12:30 on a Saturday. Abdi, a tricky fixture for you tends to be at St. Mary's.
Yeah, for us, usually St. Mary's, I said on Tuesday, it's either one of those games where we will draw or we'd have to do a comeback win. So yeah, it's never really an easy place for us to go. I don't think Southampton really enjoy playing us, to be fair, at St. Mary's. I don't think their record is that great with us anyway.
Was it at Southampton you got the 9-0?
It was at Old Trafford.
Trafford.
It was at Old Trafford. But that the Leicester one was at St. Mary's. So yeah, that 9-0 was a good time, but we're not going to see that for a while. Who knows? Strange things happen. But going into the game, I'm just hoping to see similar performance from the Liverpool game. It's going to be a different test because the Liverpool game was more of a derby game than just like a standard game. But it should be a confidence booster for the team. Southampton, they're always a tricky test in terms of you don't know what you're going to get. You could get a good performance from Southampton, or you can get an odd one. I don't know. They could be a banana peel. So I don't really know in terms of what we'll get with Southampton. I think it's going to be a close game either way. I'm hoping to see if we can see the debut of Casemiro. I'm not sure if he's going to get thrown straight in. I'd like to continue seeing Varane and Martinez as the two centre-back pairing, Malassi as the left-back. Keep the back four the same. Just keep that back four the same. Up front,
I'd love to see Maguire back.
No. You might see him at Chelsea. Who knows if you can't get Fofana over the line? So, but no. Ronaldo is going to be an interesting one to see if he starts or not, because I love Ronaldo to bits, but I feel like with the front three with Martial, Sancho, and Rashford, there's more fluidity there. Ronaldo will give us goals, and that's the most important thing. But at the same time, you kind of need that connection between the whole front line. And I feel like it's been a bit disconnected. And I don't really think they play well as much as it pains me when Ronaldo's on the pitch. And I don't think they've taken as much of the advantage of having someone like Cristiano Ronaldo at the club as they should have. But I've seen reports earlier. They haven't. I'm not sure how reliable they are. I don't think they're that reliable, but I do see there's something in it. But linking Cristiano Ronaldo with a move back to Sporting Lisbon, and by the way, they have a decent Champions League group. So if Ronaldo were to go back there, I think he'd thrive, in that group and probably get them out. But will he start on Saturday? Who knows? It's up to the manager, really. The manager will pick the team and he'll decide whether it's best to have Ronaldo on the pitch or on the bench, or Maguire on the pitch or on the bench. So just got to respect it, really. But I'm just hoping for a good game from us and not to revert back to type from beforehand, because it's no good going, as I said, no good beating Liverpool and then losing to Southampton and Leicester. You need to go out and beat these teams and build up consistency. No one has a God-given right to beat any team, and I'll say that for sure. But we should be picking up 3 points on Saturday, but we'll see.
Yes, indeed. Nick, what do you think's going to happen in that one?
Well, I think it depends what Southampton turn up, because again, last week they were, for the first 60 minutes, they were awful against Leicester, and then substitutions won them the game, really, when they brought Chans on. And so it just really depends what Southampton turn up. I think with Man United, they need to play like they did against Liverpool, because if they did like that, they'll have a good chance of winning. And I think they should stick with the same team as Liverpool, because that team, there was more connection and fluidity with going for attacking wise. So, and I just think they need to get a run of results going and not be playing like they did before Liverpool. So that's what I think. I think tight match, but I think Man United will edge it.
Sam, what's your thoughts?
I think they'll be full of confidence, won't they? After that Liverpool win, because they'll be on this high now that I can't see changing. So I think they will beat Southampton. I don't think it will be particularly that comfortable, because Southampton always like to turn up against the big teams. But yeah, I think off the back of the confidence they've got from the other night, they'll win.
Interesting. Matt, where do you stand on Southampton, Man United?
Well, it's a bit different, really. On the Southampton front, there's now talk that some of the players were a bit shocked that Ralph Hasenhuttl.
Sam Hasenhuttl. Sam's the manager now.
Yeah.
No,
that's your new job. You lied to us.
Yeah, I won't want to job with Man United. That's for sure.
No, Southampton, not United.
Yeah, he's still
that either, but
I think they're a bit surprised by that, and the lack of transfer activity at the moment. They need players in, and it's going to go down to deadline day again. I think they're going to get frustrated. We have a comment from Jake over at Arsenal Analysed. Good evening, gents. Hope you're all well.
Evening, Jake.
Evening, Jake.
Good to have you.
Hope you're well.
Or good evening, or as we should say.
Drop your thoughts about the Southampton United game and any other predictions that you wish to put in.
Yeah, it's difficult because Southampton are in a similar sort of situation. They've just won their first game of the season. They want to carry it on. On paper, United again look good, and they've got that feel-good factor coming off from the derby. I think if you had to be guessing who would be more likely at this moment, I would say United are probably going to be favourites for that game.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, United did win a game, but still, it was against Leicester, who are absolutely woeful at the moment.
So it's
So,
Liverpool, not Leicester. We have Leicester next week.
No, it's
no, yeah,
Southampton.
it's Southampton. Sorry,
Oh,
yeah, they
sorry,
won a
yeah.
game against Leicester. That was woeful. They tricky. I'd say United might just about have it, in my opinion. Even more so. Right, the next game we move on to is the aforementioned Leicester going away to Stamford Bridge, where you'd think, Nick, Chelsea must win that one, especially after the shock they had against Leeds.
I think they need to bounce back after they had a really bad performance against Leeds last week defensively, and attacking wise they had moments but not a lot. So I think they need to improve massively. They need to come back with a better performance, and I think they will do. I think they do need to win this, and I think they will do it, but Leicester, it depends what Leicester players play. They will cause Chelsea problems, but I think Chelsea are going to do this match quite eventually.
Eventual win for Chelsea. Well, Sam, what do you think? Surely, I mean, Chelsea, we said, have to really beat Leicester, but Leicester, I mean, they just have to get something out of this game.
Yeah, I just think it's vital for Chelsea just to pick up something, because you see any more kind of losses and bad performances, and you start getting like the fans quite worried and panicked, to be fair. And for the whole club, the manager, everything, that's not what you want to happen. So I think it's vital that they win. It's like it almost feels like a must win, to be honest.
Abdi, what's your thoughts? Both teams need something from this game. Will it be a close game or?
You never know what you can get out of Leicester. To be fair, they could pop up with a couple goals. They do have. Well, I will say Leicester do have goals in them in terms of putting the ball in the back of net, obviously, but they don't seem to be able to see it out. They scored 2 against Brentford. They raised to a 2-0 lead, and then afterwards conceded 2. They managed to score 2 against Arsenal, but ultimately Arsenal was too much for them. They managed a goal against Southampton, but Southampton edged them out. So Leicester have goals, but they just can't seem to defend or see out a win, even when they're in a positive position like a 2-0 win. So I do think it's going to be a bit of a close game, but I still think Chelsea will be fine in terms of how woeful Leicester have been recently. So I do think Chelsea will come away with the 3 points. I don't think they have too much to worry about in this game. It is at Stamford Bridge, so you should be fine.
Matt, easy win for Chelsea?
I think Chelsea, if I'm Chelsea or a Chelsea fan at the moment, I'm licking my lips. Even if I'm Raheem Sterling, I'm looking at my lips. I'm going, right, this is the game I want to score my first goal for Chelsea in, because they've got problems. As mentioned previously, they conceded quite a lot of goals. It looks like almost Kasper Schmeichel was the man to almost be that player that was going to win games single-handedly, and it's just all fallen apart since he's left. We do have an additional comment from friend of the show, Tom.
Hey,
Sam, get a slush puppy from. I've not seen them since the 1980s. They've been coming around. I've been able to get a slush puppy here and there, so you have to be in the right place at the right time. But Sam, where'd you get your slush puppy from?
Just the local co-op. Nothing special. I was trying to come up with some like funny, fancy comment, but
what flavour is
it? It's a mixture.
Hey, slush puppy of both flavours.
Hey.
What are your thoughts on the game? We never get to hear many of your thoughts.
Well, when it comes to Chelsea, I will be quite vocal for this game. I think it's a simple one. I mean, if we can't beat a woeful team, then things are really bad. But no, I'm not going to put too much on the Leeds game, because that was just the one bad day at the office, hopefully. Leicester are doing terribly, and you have to be realistic. That team can either be one of two things. One, they could be still terrible because they just naturally are, or they could just be getting more and more desperate. And these teams need to be, you need to be careful and not underestimate them. It's one of two ways, but on paper we have plenty to beat them. So I'm going to hope for a win for Chelsea because that's what needs to happen. And Leicester, well, I've said they are in trouble from the beginning of the season, and that's where their form is heading. They just about beat Stockport County. So, yeah, things aren't going great at the King Power. So hopefully
they want Rodgers out. I saw it trending yesterday. I've been mentioning it.
I blame them, to be honest. And if things continue that way, I wouldn't be surprised if during the international break in September, Rodgers might be the first one to go.
But also, if I think of it this way, they're not going to be able to attract a much better manager than him, if I'm honest. If they were to
keep him up.
Yeah, if they were to sack him, like, let's say the end of this week, who have they got realistically, in your view, to come in? Because I don't think there's many that would particularly go to Leicester the way that they're going, or any names. I just can't think of many that would be much better.
I have a suggestion who they should go for, but at the same time, I'd say this person should stay exactly where they are because they're doing perfectly fine, and that's Graham Potter. If you go for if you sack your manager and you're any of those teams around that position, like Leicester, Villa, Everton, and you're trying to break back into Europe, Graham Potter's probably the way to go. But he's doing well at Brighton. He's got a cohesive team. Exactly. He shouldn't, but not right now at least. So yeah.
That's an interesting one. We shall see what happens there. Next game we're gonna head to is Liverpool.
I've just realised, by the way, we've both got the same opponents for the upcoming week. Essentially, we'll just switch it around.
I was gonna say
you've got Leicester this on the weekend. We've got Southampton.
Yeah.
You've got Southampton midweek. We've got Leicester midweek.
Just
so yeah, switch and swap. Let's hope for both of us to get some points out of it.
Yeah. Let's hope for
good luck to you, my friend.
Yeah. Liverpool next on the card, and after struggling and getting 2 points out of a possible 9, they head to Bournemouth, who have more.
Anfield.
Oh yeah, they host Bournemouth, who even Bournemouth have more points than Liverpool. Sam, I mean, if there's any team Liverpool should pick up their form, it's surely Bournemouth.
That's a sentence you should never really have to say, is it? If I'm honest. For them to have more points than Liverpool, it's just beyond imagination. I honestly don't, after watching them the other night against Man United, I honestly don't even have the thought that they'll beat Bournemouth. They look that woeful. So unless it changes from the other night, I think they could struggle. And again, that's another sentence that I should never have to say. It's mental that I'm even thinking or saying it. But how bad they looked the other night, yeah, I've not really... It's not one I'd be rushing to watching, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't exactly speak cracker. Abdi, what do you think?
It speaks thrashing to me. If Liverpool can get their confidence back, this is the kind of game that Liverpool need to sort of boost their confidence and sort of try and get off the mark really and get a win on the board. We said similar thing about Fulham, to be fair. So we do have to be careful in the sense that Bournemouth could be a banana peel and cause upset. But the likelihood of that, I think people, if you said who's more likely, Fulham or Bournemouth, more people would probably say Fulham anyway. But Bournemouth, I don't know, they seem like the team where you can get points and collect points from them. Those could be famous words that come back to bite me down the line. But who did they have in the last couple games? They had Villa. They got the win. Villa have been woeful. But then they had
City and Arsenal.
City, and then Arsenal, and now Liverpool. So City beat them 4-0. Arsenal beat them 3-0. Liverpool, should really fill their boots in terms of getting Salah on the score sheet. They don't have Nunes yet, so Diaz maybe. So I think it's a good game for them to sort of get the motors running.
Nick, what's your view on this game?
Well, I am very surprised by Liverpool's start. I thought they would have done better, but they just not played well. But I think this is a great opportunity for them to boost their confidence, because if they get their key players firing, Salah, Diaz, Trent, Van Dijk, all getting them for playing well. So if Liverpool, I think Liverpool should win this game, and it should be very easy Liverpool win. But I've said that for the other game for Fulham, and it didn't work out. But I don't see I don't think Bournemouth have many threats to Liverpool, so I think it's only going to be one result, particularly with it being Liverpool at home.
Yes, I mean, to me, as I said, it's the one game that if Liverpool are to gain back their confidence and get their season back on track, it has to be this one. Matt, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and just looking at the league at the moment, we've got 5 teams that haven't even won a game yet, and we haven't mentioned 2 of them, 3 of them actually, so far. So it just goes to show you really that you can't really predict everything, but at the same time, it's been a very obscure start to the season for a lot of these teams. You wouldn't expect Liverpool to go away to Fulham and get a draw. You would have thought Liverpool would have quite easily gone and got the win. Darwin didn't throw himself in the spotlight for the right reasons against Brentford.
Palace.
Sorry. This is the problem now, is that there's so many Andersons in the Premier League now. I'm trying to remember who's got who. But they've got to somehow find a way to get goals. It's going to be, I think it's going to be experience versus the inexperience of Bournemouth. I know they've got a few Premier League players that have Premier League experience, but I think that again, on paper, you'd expect Liverpool to go and smash a couple of past Bournemouth.
You love Brentford, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes, you're
so
favourite
not telling
team,
us?
mate.
So much I keep on bringing them up.
You're buzzing about them.
Fake bees. Beside the point, if the scale is City winning 3-0, Arsenal winning 3-0, City winning 4-0, then Liverpool need to win by 2 goals. If that, just to keep up that run.
Yeah. Also, it could be one of those games where, that's not completely right off Bournemouth, but there could be a shock on the cards, and I hope for a shock on the cards, because that'd be very interesting, very tasty, and probably make my weekend even better if United have already won at that point.
Right, next game then, and it is at the Arsenal, welcoming Fulham at the Emirates. Arsenal on a fantastic form. Fulham doing better than a lot of people would give them credit for, though, still. So what do you think is going to happen there?
Another team I said I feel like they'd be doing okay. I think this is the year they're going to break out of that relegation yo-yo voodoo. But also, once again, still early doors, so that can easily change. I think Arsenal is firing on all cylinders at the moment. I think they've got the confidence flowing, they've got the juice flowing, and I think it's another victory for Arsenal for them to stay on top of the table. getting as many points on the board as early as possible for Arsenal is very beneficial when it comes to the latter stages of the season. So, I think Mikel Arteta is doing a great job this season with them, and he's been building, and his vision is slowly coming to fruition. They should, for their sake, sprinkle in a little bit more in terms of depth, because it's going to get interesting when Europa League starts and they have to play midweek and then weekend, midweek, weekend, and sort of that grind starts. Have they got the depth to rotate well enough to get through that and still maintain picking up points? And they have got some big games coming down the line. United is next Sunday, but then after that they're still okay until about the derby, 1st October, Liverpool after that. So they've still got taking it game by game, really, and they're doing what they needs to be done. So I see Arsenal taking the 3 points on Saturday in the 5:30.
Nick, I've seen something saying, should Arsenal be cautious of a player like Mitrovic because, he scored a few times already. Do you think Arsenal should be worried about Mitrovic as an attacking threat, or do you think with Arsenal's form they'll be fine?
I think Mitrovic will be a threat for Fulham, definitely, because the aerial threat and the set pieces. But I think Arsenal, the way they've defended so far this season, I think they can manage it properly. And I think going forward, Arsenal have quite a lot of dangerous players through Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard. They've got quite a lot of pace and power, and I think they will cause Fulham a lot of problems. So I am very confident Arsenal are going to win this and take the 3 points and continue that, and believe, and it will be 4 wins out of 4.
Yeah, 100% record if they still manage to beat the Cottagers. Well, Sam, what do you think will happen?
I think it's a game that we will do well in. I don't think we can underestimate Fulham at all. I think they've shown what they're about so far. And they're a team that aren't going to be just pushed over. So I expect us to do well, but I don't think we can underestimate it at all. Just carry on what you've been doing, I suppose.
Yes, carry on for Arsenal. Matt, what do you think?
It's going to be one of those games where it'll be similar to what it was at Craven Cottage for Liverpool, where they're going to go after you. They're going to try and make sure that you're on the back foot a little bit more. But at the end of the day, I think it's how well you handle Fulham's threats, which is Mitrovic and players like that. So I think it will just be a case of can Arsenal stop those players from performing that well, and can they carry it on? I think it will be a close game. I think it'll be one of those ones where Arsenal win it by a goal to 0 or something like that. It won't be like a spectacular, like 5-2, I think it was last time we met them at Craven Cottage. Or I don't think it'd be something like that.
It's at the Emirates, I believe.
Yeah, but just saying as an example. No, I don't think it's going to be like 5, 6, 7 thrashing. Fulham are doing really well at the moment. I think their fans are really proud of where they are at the moment, sitting 7th at the Premier League in the table at the moment. If you were to end the season now, I think they'll snap your hand off.
Oh, I think so. They'll be staying up this way. Next game. Any comments before I move on, actually?
No, our last comment was asking about Sam's slash puppy, so nothing since then. But please keep your comments going. Keep your
predictions coming while we move on to a biggie. Right. Nick, both of these teams desperate for points. On one end, you've got Villa. Only picked up 1 win so far, and even that was lucky. And then on the other side, you've got West Ham. No points at all. I believe rock bottom, and I believe no goals scored either.
No.
So
no
both
goals
teams desperately need points. Probably West Ham just a bit more than Villa, but both clubs in not a great situation.
Yeah, they just qualified for the Conference League, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm talking.
So,
yeah, but this is the Premier League. This is.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying, just try and sprinkle in something there.
I was being pedantic here. You know, it's a Premier League show.
Yeah.
To make it ironic. Anyway, Nick, what do you think will happen?
So I think for this match, West Ham will need to win more than Villa because they haven't got any points yet. But I think, well, they had Man City first game, so that was going to be difficult. And then they played well against Forest and didn't take the chances, so that's why they lost. But then Brighton just outplayed them last week. So that was the reason why. I think they need to they've brought players in, but they're not using them yet. They're not starting them, which is very odd. So I think they need to start Schumacher and Maxwell Cornet. Use them more. And then Villa, I think they have good players, but inconsistent. So the fact they've got Leon Bailey, Danny Ings, Ollie Watkins, Coutinho, Gwendia, John McGinn, so they should be doing better. So I think this is going to be this will be a very good match, and I think it could go. I think it will end up in the score draw, but it could go either way.
Sam, what do you think of this game? What result do you see happening on a Sunday afternoon?
I think it's a tough one to call. I think, like you say, both teams are desperate for points. Could West Ham getting through in Europe kind of give them that little bit of confidence going to the weekend potentially? But I think I see Villa pulling it, to be fair, and beating them, if I'm honest.
Abdi, what do you think? Huge game this for both teams.
Yeah, it is. In the early stages of the season, they need to sort of start building forwards and start the train moving, or they'll get left behind, you know. If West Ham, if they have any aspirations of getting back into Europe again for next season, they need to start picking up the points. And I do agree with Nick in terms of I think West Ham need it more at the moment in terms of where they are. They just haven't got anything at the moment. So they need to get moving. I think Villa could handle it a little bit better, but at the same time, I don't think their fans would want to. So at the moment, it's a must not lose game for either team, really. You know, there's sort of somewhat pressure on Gerrard, you know, with the Villa fans getting tired of it and wanting Pochettino in. Don't know how likely that is, but Villa's owners do seem to be ambitious in terms of what they're trying to do. So if they did sack Gerrard and brought Pochettino in, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if he accepted, but then again, you're getting paid big money, come back to the Premier League. But as for the game, there is still a long way to go in terms of the season. It's only just got started, so West Ham don't need to worry too much in terms of Europe and all that at the moment. It's way too early to sort of be thinking about that. But they really need to start moving in terms of just their season as a whole. So a big win for them away from home against Villa would do wonders for them, really. They're bringing in the right players, but it's just not clicking yet. Maybe they need something to rejuvenate the squad in terms of, I don't know if it's they're getting tired of Moyes in terms of his tactics, his approach, and they need something fresh to spice things up a little bit for them, or it's just they just haven't clicked yet. So we'll have to wait and see. But for West Ham's sake, you know, hopefully for them they can pick up some points. But yeah, we shall see on Sunday.
Yes, it will be interesting to see. Matt, what do you think? Will things click in that game for one team or both?
It's difficult to say because I know you've made some good points there, Abdi. I'm just going to build on that. West Ham have quite an aging squad if you think about it. Flabahansky is over 30.
Fabianski.
No, I call him Flapperhands.
Flabianski, everyone, yeah, it's a well-known nickname.
And get the ball, he'd flap his hands like a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny here if I could, but I can't really describe it as well as I can do the imitation.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
But yeah, I think Mikel Antonio's also on the side of 30 now, so maybe that's part of it as well. Is because they're sort of aging as a squad instead of bringing in some of the new players or some academy players. That's kind of not helping the cause a little bit more. If they can get that first goal, I think that's the first goal that they'll have. Pardon the pun, but if one, I think this game's got one of those. It's one of those where it's going to go 1-0, and then you're 2-1 in front, and then back to 2. It could be anything. It could be a 2-2 game. It could be a 3-3 game. It could be a 0-0. It could be a 1-1, or you could have West Ham nick it last minute or 96th minute with a header or something like that. It's just, I don't think you can call it. But if maybe we should ask your door what they think as well, because you might be able to give you an answer on how Stevie G's feeling at the moment.
Abdi, what do you think Stevie G thinks?
Well, that's funny you should say that. I literally heard someone creak at a door and it just made the same noise. So I was going to say something and lost my train of thought now. So yeah, I can't remember. If I remember it, I'll put it back in. But yeah, it was something Matt was saying. Oh no, I remember. I do think they were unlucky against Forest, to be fair, in terms of that game. The disallowed goal was a bit silly for them to give away in terms of that, but and the penalty that they should have done much better. Rice, shouldn't really. I don't know. He felt he could take it. He was the captain.
That's a good point, actually. Do you think Declan Rice is struggling with the captaincy because he's had Mark Noble there, and maybe they've lost that influence in the dressing room?
I think captaincy's too much pressure for Rice.
No, because he's the one who was wearing it last season anyway. For most of it, Noble only came off for certain games, but Noble was officially club captain, but Rice was basically the captain that was playing on the pitch. So Rice has just taken Noble's official title, really. So I don't think that has too much on it. But I know there was a lot of talk of Rice possibly leaving West Ham, but they priced him out in terms of saying he's going to be 150 million or whatever it was, some stupid money, really. But with the prices being banded about right now, I don't know. Maybe they want something there. So yeah, I don't think it's weighing too heavy on him, but I do think he can't be taking the penalties if he's not a decent penalty taker. He has scored from the spot before, I believe, but get one of the others on it. Get one of your attacking players on it.
Well, we shall see what happens in that game next. We're going to go back to Nick. Wolves host Wolves, who haven't done much really. Well, but they host a very informed Newcastle, Nick.
Yes, indeed. Very good start to the season for Newcastle after beating Nottingham Forest at home first game 2-0. Played really well. Then Brighton was more defensively defensive performance, and Nick Pope and defense keep getting us a draw, and then playing really well against Man City and getting a bonus point there. That was excellent. Then we won last night and through the League Cup, next round League Cup, so that's all good. So it's looking all up. And then Alexander Isak's signing which is what we needed a striker because of Callum Wilson's gone down injured again.
He's made a glass.
So that is much needed. So if we can get it done, if we can announce it tonight, so by midday tomorrow, so he can be in the squad, that would be helpful. But I am pretty confident. Wolves, they haven't really started the season. I think they've only scored 1 goal so far in the league, and they're just struggling.
Yes, I believe so.
They're really struggling with like the fact they're changing styles, changing system to back 4. I think that it's taking time for them to gel, and the fact they had Traore and Jimenez injured in pre-season didn't help them either.
What do you think of your potential signing of Isak from Real Sociedad? Let's get your view on that.
I think it's a decent signing. I think he's Sweden international. He's done well for Sweden and Sociedad.
But
But
was Switzerland?
no, he plays for Sweden.
Sweden, okay.
He's 22 years
Correct
old,
answer.
so 5-year deal, but it's quite a lot of money, I think, for that. But
It is.
I think we were linked to him early in the window, and then it went quiet, and then all of a sudden they've just gone in and put a bid in. That's what that accepted. So
was it the actual deal or was it a release clause? Sorry, that you triggered.
I don't think it was release clause. I think it was actual deal.
Okay.
So we bid. I think we bid. I think it was like 70 million euros.
All right.
So it's the total deal. The total deal will be 63 million after add-ons.
Okay.
Abdi, obviously tell us your thoughts about the game. I mean, for Isak, his goal scoring record recently is not convincing, and he probably won't. Even if it is completed, he probably will not play in the Wolves game. But yeah, what do you think about that game? What will happen?
With the Wolves game, we were talking about it beforehand, and Nick was saying that Wolves and Newcastle is usually like a boring draw. Let's hope it's the complete opposite of that. I do think Newcastle could possibly edge it because they are the form team, but then again, Wolves are at home. You never know what you can get with Wolves, so I do think Newcastle will edge it. But on the signing of Isak, quite a few clubs were linked with him beforehand. United were linked with him. Arsenal linked with him. We played against him a couple of years ago, I think. I don't know if he played or not, but we played against Sociedad, and he was one of the people that were the big threat. So, but at the same time, hasn't scored that many goals in terms of the leagues. 6 goals, I think it was, and a few assists. So, how that translate over to the Premier League, we'll have to wait and see. He could just absolutely blow up and just become a monster. He is still young. He is potential. So, I don't know. I feel like Eddie Howe could just hopefully, for Newcastle's sake, coach him into becoming a top player. And we'll soon see in the next few years if he does become a top player for Newcastle. Because if he does, he could be leading the line for many years. But yeah, he's tall, he's quick, and hopefully for Newcastle's sake, he comes with a lot of goals. But at the moment, doesn't look like he's coming with that many goals.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that transfer. Sam, what do you think will happen? What is it going to be, a board draw? Will something happen?
No, I don't think so. I think
yes. Hello?
Yeah, I think
the wheels are turning, aren't they?
Yeah, he's hello.
It's a tough one, isn't it, Sam? Let's put it that way. We don't know what's
tricky to say what will happen in that game. It's just, most of them have been draws, but the way the team's going,
do you want, Sam? Do you want a little bit of help here? Because I've got the last 2 games here. So
go on.
At I know you said St George's Park then, but it's not. St James's.
I was going to say that's a different one.
I don't know what's wrong with me today. At St
Otherwise,
James's
one of these days for all of us.
It was 1-0 Newcastle in April.
Yeah, 1-0.
And then Wolves won 2-1 at Molineux.
Yeah, and Wolves won 2-1 at Molineux.
Yeah, I think Wolves haven't done as well as they'd like to have done. So I think they'll be kind of up for it. I don't think it'll be one that either team kind of runs away with, but I think it'll be a Newcastle win, to be honest.
Newcastle win. Geordies carry on. Matt, what do you think?
I'm just going to add to these stats. So actually, if you flip these around, both teams have got a goal difference of the same, just mirrored on minus and plus, which is 2.
Okay.
So I have a feeling it might be a 2-1 game, if I'm honest. And I believe you said Wolves have only scored 1 goal, but they've only conceded 3 so far. So
it kind of seems a very Wolves team. They don't concede many, but they don't score many either.
Well,
they are. I think they were trying to bring in fresh talent. Sasha Kaladzic from Stuttgart, the absolute lamppost. Where's he from? The Austrian Peter Crouch, I believe. 6'7". So just stick him in the box, put it on his head, and he'll just absolutely plant him in. He's still young, he's still raw. So if they can get that one over the line, I think they are getting that. And there was somebody else, I think. So
for some reason, I thought he's already gone somewhere.
He was linked with United, but I think he's gone to Wolves.
I thought he'd gone somewhere else in Germany, but no, must be wrong.
No,
then.
I think he's off to Wolves. So yeah, if they get that, if they've already got that one over the line, I might have not been paying attention, but
I don't think
that's what I
don't think it's done yet. I don't think they got it completed yet. They were Wolves. I think the personal terms were agreed, but there's still part in Wolves and Stuttgart Stuttgart wanted Wolves were they were miles apart in valuation. Last I heard.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that Newcastle are going to win this game. I think it's because just watched them yesterday. They are all like 6 foot plus now. So, and then you got Kieran Trippier who's 5'8", and it's just like when they're doing the national anthems, and then you got to have all the tall players, and then you have that one really small one. That's what Kieran Trippier looks like next to the rest of the team. So I think it's going to be one of those games where Newcastle are going to be looking to lump it into the box to try and get that goal. Also, just on Newcastle front, wishing Emil Kraft the best of luck with his recovery, because it was a really nasty challenge last night, and as me and Nick were discussing before the show, that it could be his ACL that's been done. He ended up being stretchered off, so best to him. I don't know what's happened with Lascelles as well, but his nose was bleeding and in the end he eventually went off reluctantly, but he ended up going off. So I don't know if he'll be considered going out as well. But
I don't think he'll play anyway. It's been Botman and Sher.
Yes,
at centre back, so it'll be unlikely. So Trippier and Target probably will play a full back. So
you've got your set squad, but it still helps that you've got players that can come in. But just wishing that them all the best, because it's not nice when you get things like that and you see it live as well.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. That should be good. Right, to the 4:30 game on Sunday, and Tottenham are heading to the Woods. Tottenham are heading to the Forest. Sam, what do you think? Forest Spurs.
Come on, the Forest. That was just it just come out. Yeah,
it's okay. Embrace it.
I think it would be a big atmosphere, a massive atmosphere, because it's like it's one of their first Premier League games where they've got like a big top club. So, yeah, I think it pains me to say, but I think they'll still win. But I don't think it'll be easy for them at all.
Abdi, what do you think? Easy win for Spurs?
No. I don't think it will be an easy trip for anyone to go to the City Ground and just absolutely walk it. That could be, once again, famous last words, but I think the atmosphere, the way they play, but also we do have to take into consideration the sheer amount of players that they brought in and trying to get that to gel together and click together, because last year was a cohesive unit that were just there, but they were a championship level squad. So they're trying to build a squad that is Premier League worthy of staying in the league. So I don't think many teams really won at the City Ground last year in the Championship, but it is the Premier League, so you might get the odd occasion. But then afterwards, then again, Leicester went there, Arsenal went there in the Cup, Liverpool went there in the Cup and just about got past it. But it is a formidable place to go, even for the top Premier League teams. So it's not going to be a walk in the park for Spurs. I do think they'll edge it, but I don't think it will be anything easy. But I also can see, very much so, Nottingham Forest picking up the win, because Spurs are going to Spurs, you know?
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Would be nice. Right, moving on next to Nick. What do you think?
This is a quite interesting game because you don't know what. With Forest at the moment, you don't know what's going on with them because they've got so many players to integrate into their team and squad. So getting used to playing with each other at the moment. They got 4 points from the first 3 games, which is not too bad. Tottenham, I think, it won't be easy for them, but I can see them find a way to get over the line and winning because of the fact they got Song, they got Kulusevski, Kane, or Richarlison, Mora. So I think that they will find a way to get a win, but I think Forest will give them a tough game, especially with that home atmosphere, which will be probably amazing again, like the previous home game.
Well, be interesting. Matt, Forest hosting Spurs.
It is going to be an interesting game, and I think a lot of people are kind of glad that this one's been picked up for TV because it's going to be a huge atmosphere. It's a huge game for Forest as well. They need to put points on board. They're trying to get this team, make sure it's Premier League ready, as already mentioned. And I think at the same time, they're trying to look beyond this season. So instead of just doing some deals in the summer window and then some in the winter to make sure that they can get over the line, they're hoping, but by the time January hits, they can just carry on. So say they're only on 11 points come December, January window opens, they're not going to panic as much because they know that these players can have the potential to go and get that over that 40-point mark. I
from
think
11 to 40 from December is a big ask.
That's a big ask.
Okay, let's say 15 then, just for example. If they're on 15 points, they won't be panicking. But at the moment, as things stand, if you were to do it on form basis, they lost their opening game, so in theory, they should lose this game. But it's a home game. I think it's going to be a draw, if I'm honest. I think Steve Cooper's going to outthink Conte, and Conte is going to somehow do what Conte does best when he's panicking. He'll tell everyone to go up front, and Harry Kane's going to go and score a draw, and then they're going to celebrate like they've won that pre-season title that nobody's heard of before.
The Audi Cup.
No, the one that they recently won. This
I still not found the name of it. So yeah,
something like
I will.
Cup. Sorry, Adi.
I will say the opening game that they did lose was away from home. To be fair, their first home game they won. So yeah, we'll see.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. Right, before we finish, we've got some midweek games to preview that we've selected.
Let's fly through these. Bang, bang, bang.
Let's fly through these. Abdi, Southampton versus Chelsea.
It could go either way in terms of because we don't know what's going to happen. We're looking past a game that hasn't even, like the weekend ones that haven't happened yet. So if Southampton get a result against United, they'd be feeling confident, Another big team coming down, so we'll see what happens there. But I think for Chelsea, they need to start shifting as well. They don't really need to start shifting, but they'll be fine. I expect them to beat Leicester, so I think they'll beat Southampton as well. And I think they'll be fine. It could be a tricky one, but I still think they'll be fine against Southampton.
Nick, what do we think?
Chelsea to win, but it's not going to be easy win against Southampton. Not like last season when they won 6-0. I think Southampton won the beach then. When they played last season at St Mary's. But I do think Chelsea will grind out a win. I think they'll have enough quality to do it, but Southampton will give them a decent game, I think.
Well, it'll be interesting. Sam, Southampton, Chelsea, where do you see this going?
I think it all depends on a lot on what Chelsea do this weekend, to be honest. I think if they pick up the win, I think that could give them that bit of confidence to maybe get it over the line in the week as well. Likewise with Southampton, though, to be fair, if they was to upset, then. But yeah, I think it's going to be a game off like confidence, if I'm honest.
The way I kind of see this one is it's 2 must-win games for me. I think if there's 6 points we could get, it's against these teams if we play like we should. So to me, out of the next 6, I would like to get 6, hopefully. So that's the way I'd see it, I guess, for me, from my point of view. Although, mind you, Southampton are my second team, so I'll see what happens, really. Matt, where do you see this going?
Well, Southampton like the big games, and this is going to be a difficult one. Again, they're in some similar sort of boats. They were not where they would have expected at the start of the season. I'm going to say it's going to be a draw. I can just see. I don't know what it is. I just think maybe Chelsea make a last minute slip up, and Shea Adams goes through on goal and just scores into an empty net or something to make it 1-1. It's something I can just imagine. But then again, I can imagine this where Raheem Sterling goes up the other end and scores after kickoff. It's a hard one to call, but if I had to, I would probably go for a draw.
Interesting prediction. Interesting. Right, moving on to the next game, Nick. So Arsenal, Fulham, we said it will be a tricky game potentially, but Arsenal should still pull through. This one, yes, Villa have got a big game, so that all depends on what they do against West Ham. But Arsenal against Villa, the way things stand, another one where Arsenal could potentially have a few goals.
Potentially, they could. I feel Arsenal can get quite a few goals against Villa. It depends how they play up. It depends what Villa do as well. But Arsenal will definitely be favourites to win that game. But I can see a scenario. Probably the scenario is that both teams will end up scoring in that match. But I think Arsenal will win quite comfortably.
Sam, Arsenal Villa, what do you think?
Yeah, it's one that you look at it and we should be winning. But again, I've said it with lots of the games. It'll give Villa a little boost if they can get a result at the weekend. So I think it's all a lot down to the weekend, but it's another one that we should win.
Well, Abdi, what's your thoughts?
simple. High five for Arsenal. 5 in a row. Another win on the board. Perfect start for them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. I don't think Villa will pose much of a threat to them.
Matt, would you agree?
I think it will depend what Villa turn up. Is it going to be the Villa that we know will cause problems and take these players on and actually give them a bit more of a headache than other teams will? At the moment, you don't really see that. But if the fans aren't on his side at the moment, then the fans are going to turn on the players, and then in that turn, the players are going to turn on the manager, and then it's just going to be chaos. So I could imagine Arsenal winning this.
Arsenal 15 points. Next game will be quite interesting. Abdi, City versus Forest.
Very interesting. It's going to be a very, very tough game for Forest, to be fair. Away from home. Their first real big away game of the season. One that they'd be waiting for. Any of the top 6 clubs, they'd be wanting to go to those grounds and soak in the atmosphere. So, I love Forest to make City stumble, but I just don't see them really dropping points. So, I do think Forest will have a tough time at the Etihad, and I think City will continue their cruise control.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised to see any other result. Nick?
I think Man City will want to react to what happened against Newcastle, and I think they could drop. I think they're going to drop points against Palace, so I think they'll want to play well at the Etihad, and I think Forest are going to find it very difficult to get anything out of this out of Wednesday night. So I think it's going to be a Man City win by 2 or 3 goals.
Comfortable win for City, Sam?
Yeah, I would say so. They don't, apart from last week against Newcastle, but Newcastle played really well. They're going to be a force to reckon with this season and quite hard to stop. So, yeah, I don't see anything other than City win.
Matt, where do you see this going? Same way?
I could see City actually going for it and maybe 5, 6, hitting 5 and 6s. Maybe it might be damage limitation for Forest. They won't expect to get anything, but you don't put anything past them if they did manage to get a draw or something. But I think if you asked a Forest fan at the moment, what would you rather have, the 3 points or 3 points or a draw? I think they'll take the draw. Obviously, they would want the 3 points, but City are just too good at the moment.
Well, we shall see what happens there. Next game. Now, this one, depending on what happens against Villa, of course, for West Ham, and obviously what happens at Forest, West Ham Spurs could be a very interesting game, especially if West Ham still don't have any points. Because, Nick, we have seen West Ham, come back after being a few goals down to Spurs. So, yeah, what do you think will happen there?
Well, London derbies, you can never, form doesn't count for anything really. So that form book can go out the window completely. And Tottenham don't need to not underestimate West Ham, because Tottenham were I think under Mourinho, they were 3-0 up, and West Ham hit back to draw. So anything could happen in this game.
Yeah.
Anything could happen there. So I will say Tottenham will be first to win, but you could see West Ham winning it as well. So it just depends how well. It will just depend on what teams turn up, but it's going to be I think it'll be a difficult match for both teams. So it will be it's a quite enticing game, and I think there'll be quite a few goals in this match, I think.
Okay. Sam, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be a big derby?
Yeah, I think it's got the... They've had some really good games in the past. I think West Ham will be up for it. It's a game they'll want to win, obviously. And I think it's one, again, that could go either way. I think it could just be whoever wants it more on the day.
Abdi, who do you think will want it more?
I couldn't even begin to answer that. I think both teams really despise each other with a passion. So it's going to be a fiery occasion. The fans will be up for it. It is at the London Stadium, so it's going to be tough for Spurs. But I do think at the moment, they do have the momentum going with them to edge it. But then again, we're looking a game after a game that we don't even know what's going to happen. So everything that happens in the weekend could just totally flip everything. So West Ham could be going into the game with confidence from the Villa game, or they could be going into it on the back of a defeat, or Spurs could be going into it with a win, and then Villa, vice versa and everything. There's all different permutations into that game. But make no mistake, as I believe Nick said, form goes out the window in these kind of games, or it was Matt, one of the two. But form goes out the window, so we shall see. It has been a tough test for Spurs going there recent season. It hasn't been completely easy for them. I think West Ham were the ones who won last year there. So it was 1-0 Mikel Antonio. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. If you ask me who would I be backing to win it, I still think Tottenham might edge it just.
Okay, Matt.
I think if West Ham head into this with 0 points, I think that it's going to be the case of almost the Ten Hag effect. Like, you're going to come into training, there's no day off. You're going to work harder. You're going to need to buy into this. You've got an important game. You can't lose it, especially at home. You've got Europe secured now into the group stage of that, and you're looking to move on and make sure that you're at least in Europe again next season. So West Ham need to get something from this game, and they might need to push a few buttons to do it, but I think that they've got the capacity to get one over them.
Well, we shall see what happens. Derby form goes out the window. It could be an interesting game. I definitely don't think it's going to be boring either way it goes. It's going to have something in it. Moving to the next game. Well, Liverpool host another team. Nick, you're Newcastle.
Yes, and Newcastle in the Premier League I think they've never won at Anfield in the Premier League.
Do you think this is the time? Liverpool on dodgy form, Newcastle?
They are, but I feel if Newcastle will play, can get a performance in, but whether it'll be enough, I'm not sure. It depends if Liverpool firing all cylinders. At Anfield, I would not think so, but it could happen. But it really depends on. No, Newcastle will need things to go their way, I would think, as well. If I would be happy if we take a draw against this, because when I saw the first lot of fixtures, I thought if we got a draw against Man City, Liverpool, and then win the others, I would have taken that. So that's how I'm feeling at the moment.
Sam, where do you think this is heading? Do you think Liverpool could drop points at home against Newcastle?
Yeah, I think they could quite possibly. If I was to just pluck it out of thin air, I would probably say you may be looking at a draw. Again, I think it all depends how they play at the weekend. But I think it could end in a draw, to be fair.
Abdi, what do you think?
I'm sort of on the same wavelength as the others. I think if Liverpool had been firing on all cylinders for the past few games, I think it'd be a different story. I think it'd be easy. I wouldn't say easy. I think it'd be a Liverpool win. But just by the way Liverpool have been in recent weeks, and even if they do pick up a win against Bournemouth, I still think it's going to be a bit shaky against Newcastle. So depends who's back for them. I think Nunez's band isn't up for that game, so he's still going to be playing. But yeah, I think it's going to be a draw.
Moving on to the... Actually, no, Matt. What...
Really? No, that's all right. Just from what Tranmere did against Newcastle, their goal was basically playing 1-2s and quick counter-attack. That is Liverpool's bread and butter. You would think that on paper, Salah and the other two, whoever it may be that day, Firmino. And
I think it'll be Diaz and it'll be Firmino and Diaz because Nunez is back. Merseyside derby.
Yeah, so you would expect them three to be able to do that, but at home you haven't really gotten any points at home yet. I think the fans are gonna just be a bit angsty, and I think that's. And you said, Nick, you said about Newcastle never winning against Liverpool in the Premier League at Anfield. I think, if anything, records there to be broken, and records have taken a while to be broken. And I think this is the season that it's going to happen if it does.
Well, that would be interesting. Could be interesting, that game. I think there could be surprises in that one myself. Last game, Leicester. I mean, we'll see what happens. Like you said, switch and swap. Leicester host Manchester United. Abdi, let's start with you.
So opening the weekend's fixtures and then afterwards closing out on the Thursday night. 2 different match weeks, to be fair, as well. But it's one of those ones again. It all depends on what happens on the Saturday game. Against Southampton, I still will say Leicester have been woeful, but then again, before the Liverpool game, so have we. So Leicester have always been sort of that weird team to play against for us. Sometimes we'll go over there and we'll win and have a good run of fixtures against them, or it might be a couple of draws here and there, or sometimes there might be the odd occasion where Leicester just go crazy. Last time we were there was a 4-2 win for them. They were much of the better side as well, so I'm hoping that there's nothing anywhere near to that. Hopefully it's the reverse. So, but I am backing United in this one. I think it's going to be a close game in terms of maybe a 2-1 or 3-1 at a push. But yeah, who knows? It could be also the debut of Anthony if that deal gets over the line. But deadline day night as well. So I don't think United will be doing too much on deadline day night. So we'll see.
Nick, what do you think will happen?
My feeling is that it's going to be a Manchester United win against Leicester. I just feel that they're going to take the confidence from the Liverpool win into Southampton and Leicester. I think they're going to win both. Going to get 2 wins. It'll be 3 in a row, and I think Leicester, they're just struggling defensively. They're just leaking goals, and set pieces, they're not very good at defending either. So, or crosses. So, I think that'll be a route for Man United to exploit. But I think Man United are going to take the points.
3 wins in a row for Man United, Sam?
Potentially. I think much lies, like I've heard myself repeat a lot, on if they can carry on through the Liverpool performance and keep it going from that, really. I think it very much depends on that, whether they can keep up that sort of form.
Matt?
They've got to carry on that form, and I can quite easily see with the way Leicester are going at the moment, I just can't see them going back to that Harry Maguire being captain and getting confused every 5 minutes, especially when he's not even on the pitch. So I think United are going in the right direction at the moment, and they want to carry it on. So I can only see a United win at the moment with how Leicester are playing.
Well, definitely interesting. Well, all of this.
Bear in mind that could all be completely thrown out the window depending on how either team performs on the weekend. We can get Southampton to beat us, and then Leicester to win at the Bridge. Everything will be just flipped on its head.
Everything will flip. That's the difficulty about previewing 2 sets of games, but all of it will be revealed over the next few days. We'll come back to Sam, though, for the weekend's predictions. Give us a bit of an update. Any interesting patterns, any interesting predictions you've seen?
So basically, everyone, the one that's across the board for everyone is an Arsenal win. There's not really any interesting ones. You've got how a lot of them of how we've been said in the show, really. There's none that kind of like jumped out at me.
Well, we'll find out what happened. Yes.
Although one of the games sounds like a hell of a game. You've put down Forest and Tottenham to be 3-2 Tottenham. So that's going to be a hell of a game if that's.
I want the Sunday thriller. That's what I need. And if it's even reversed, I'll take that as a wrong prediction easily. 3-2 to Forest. All right. Time to close out the show. And let's first go the usuals. Abdi, where are you on the Twitter machine?
I am ever on the Twitter machine. No, but I am. You can follow me at Abdullahi26 on Twitter, at AABDULLAHI26.
Nick, where can people find you?
At Nicholas Pages on Twitter.
Sam?
Sam Wilson ASC with the 1 in the space of the I.
He's where the I is. And Matt?
At Masalar28.
You can find me at Subsonics UK. That's at SUBSONIX UK. And you can find us, again, everywhere at Golden Goal TV on YouTube. We've got Facebook. We've got Discord. We even have a WhatsApp group. So, yes, get in touch on all the channels. And also like, comment, share, and subscribe. And click the bell to receive notifications. Coming up, definitely, we've got a Monday show reviewing the Premier League action. We possibly have a European show updates to come in the next few days. And next Friday, we have a very special show. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Because it'll be something quite special we're organizing. Let's just say with another YouTube channel. Yes. So stay tuned.
Enjoy the bank holiday weekend.
Enjoy the bank holiday weekend.
Yep.
Long weekend.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. I did get an email from my office reminding me today that is bank holiday to not set my alarm. So yes, Don't get up early for work on a Monday. It is bank holiday. We will see you then.
Bye.